So I don't know why, but I wanted to play my first PC-98 game. Oh wait, I know why. It's because the art style looks so good. That old anime aesthetic with the very pointy faces, mixed with pixel art and retro music, it all combines on an exclusive PC made in Japan that led to so many cool looking games. But with this video, I did not know what I was getting myself into. The rabbit hole of this game. First, I had to find out what was the perfect PC-98 game to play, then finding this and thinking, wow, it's so cool. Hey, wait, why are they mentioning Bill Clinton? Whoa, hey, why is the main character so down bad? What do you mean this is the censored version? Then something that has never happened to me before playing a video game happened, putting this entire video in doubt to then stumbling through this franchise and seeing they milked the heck out of it. Bro, just let it go already. And also, why are you gonna be in this video again? And okay, you see this character in this type of mature game. You'd think normal questions that you would ask would be, oh, okay, that's interesting. You have 2 different eye colors. Oh, okay, oh, what's your personality? What's your religion? Huh?
Mecha?
Well, let's just say I was not prepared for my first PC-98 game to be Eve Burst Error. So back when I did the Zork video, games that were released in the 90s, that were early examples of the Western point-and-click adventure game genre. It got me thinking, I wonder if across the giant trench, Japan had their own early PC games in the 90s, and turns out they had the PC-98, a type of personal computer. And what kind of games were on that?
Porno, porno, porno!
Gee, no wonder Japan gets so many tourists. So PC-98 is a term that's now associated with this style of art, pixel art with that 90s anime charm, alongside whatever the hell this is. UI design at its finest, and it looks really cool. And I had this idea for a video written down for ages, just make a video on some PC-98 game, because it always did fascinate me. What exactly is PC-98? Was it using Windows 98? Was it a PC that you could buy right now?
Oh my goodness!
And did it cause the Y2K? Well, what do you think? What, you want me to answer that? Fine. So in the 80s, Japanese company NEC was pretty popular with their PC business, but more business focused. However, then in 1981, IBM released a personal computer, the 5150. I'm totally saying that wrong. And NEC saw this would be the future. Personal computers for everyone in Japan. So in 1 year, they had their own, the PC-9801, a 16-bit computer with graphics of 640 by 400 and 8 fixed colors. And with that unmatched color, they slowly worked their way into every home with revised models over the years alongside an older version of the PC-88. What do you mean there's a PC-88? Oh, why did nobody tell me? But they were not compatible with IBM, meaning this closed-off system, which had better graphics and audio output, as well as displaying kanji, you know, the Dark Souls boss of learning Japanese. Oh yeah, that's Sue. That's Chi. Man, Kana is so easy to learn. Oh god, what the heck is that? Anywho, this exploded the popularity in Japan, where companies and people would make games for it. Yes, anyone could and would make games for the system. And thus so many games released from all kinds of genres, the simple pixels and colors, but one type in particular led the scene. Adventure games, or visual novels as that unemployed person in your friend group calls them, were explosive on the system. Where they used a low color palette with pixels that was so detailed and developers were just chucking whatever UI they thought, and now it just looks like aesthetic. And the fact that the console is an actual PC means that you can either shell out entirely to buy this whole thing, or you have to emulate them now, which is not perfect. Like, yeah, there are so many games to play, but you know, a lot of them.
I can't read this.
So, yep, in addition to trying to find a game to run on an emulator, you now had the hurdle of trying to find translations for the games to be able to understand what Scrimblow here is saying. And with all that knowledge in mind, I set about to make this video, because like with the Chrono Trigger one, I had so much fun with the SNES version as my first game on the console, so this was a similar adventure where I would try to find the perfect PC-98 game to play, and it'd be my first experience of this little box. And my god!
What have I done?
So this process started months ago when planning began. It's just I do plan all my videos months in advance because, oh man, the ideas I have, they can go on for years. I keep getting so many. No peeking. But I did the usual, good PC-98 games to play. I type it in Google. Ones that have English translations, as I was trying to emulate them too on this very Japanese program. You know the saying, programs in the West, programs in Japan. But then I found one called Runaway City. It had the art style I wanted. I've seen too many eyeball cranium Joes in the last video. And wanted more of that sleek 90s art style in a game. And this looked really good. It had a translation and oh, what's this? The translation comes in a 3-pack. Maybe I can talk about all 3 games. But then I realized they seem to be harem visual novels where you talk to the characters in the game so that you can date them. And that's not really my style of game now, but fine, okay. I gave it a chance and tried it out and I don't know what to do now. Yeah, so I kind of got stuck and I guess I wasn't really in the mood for Anime High School Simulator 10,002. Also, by the way, after beating Eve, I figured out how to beat this game. You gotta click on everything. That's how these games work. So, back again to the drawing board, and yes, I was very well aware a lot of PC-98 games are eroge. You know, naughty. So I had to find one in English and one that wouldn't have me covering up half the screen the entire time. Because if I didn't...
I dare you! I double dare you!
So the best website is the Visual Novel Database to search through, but there are other sites too, and oh my god, there are so many games. Some from big publishers too. Square had their own, even Bandai. Gee, the Tales of franchise is in good hands, huh? But then I stumbled upon sites where they would actually emulate that old computer style, having everything be in the Windows format. And so after scrolling through many games, finding ones that look cool, but then seeing
Hardcore nudity!
I then stumbled upon Eve First Era, where from first glance it seemed okay, not too horny, and such an amazing art style with the UI and the pointy faces. It was exactly what I was looking for. And then I read the description and lo and behold, it wasn't a dating game! Huzzah! A bizarre serial murder mystery. There's a serial killer close by. A prohibited psycho thriller. The multi-site system reveals surprising truth. Whoa! I love those specific words! And the big kicker, at certain points, it is necessary to switch between the two characters and make them cooperate. And my mind was blown. A 1995 game on the PC-98, which was a murder mystery, amazing art style, and some gimmick where you had to swap between the characters to solve a murder. This was sounding too good to be true. Hey, don't put that text on the screen. I still liked it. Just... well, so I found an English translation and started up the emulator. But what's this? MDF file? What reads that? PC? The basic PC can read it? Where's the 98? So, turns out the PC-98 game, the reason I wanted this, hasn't actually got a fan translation. Oh no, this degenerative smut actually got localized in the West on the PC 5 years later. Yep, I had gotten the PC one and not the PC-98 version, and now it looked like this. I mean, it still is that 90s anime look, but I can't see the pixels. This isn't that PC-98 aesthetic that I was hyping up. Where's the pizzazz? The atmosphere? Atmosphere? People don't play these games for atmosphere. They play it to get their rocks off. So I was disheartened. I wandered the sites for other games, finding ones that got me as excited as Eve. I found so many. Even this one that looked like a top-down army sim like Civ. And you got different nationalities like Russia, India. But something about Eve Burst Era drew me in. The art style actually looked really cool, such a good premise, and then I learned about the Assenheim project. No, not the German metal band. A fan site that painstakingly had to put a bunch of PC-98 games for you to enjoy on their site, completely playable in browser. And behold, Eve Burst Era, the PC-98 version, was there. Also another version, which I thought was a sequel, but I'll get to that. I will get to the sequels! But okay, for these reviews on the channel, I try to at least emulate to you, the viewer watching this on the toilet, that this is a process, an experience of playing all these games. Not like I just play through the story and then recap it to you like, in 1990, Sega made Mario, and then you got turn-based gameplay, then you beat the boss, then Mario makes out with Sonic. Oh no, I want you to experience and feel the pain and suffering I feel when I go down these rabbit holes. The nostalgia, the journey I retake when I go through these games. So at this point, I thought, okay, the lovely people on this site had translated the game themselves, the PC-98 one, and put it up here. That is what I believed when I found this site, which meant I couldn't use the emulator like I initially planned. I had to play this in a browser and an online site. Yep. I mean, it's still on PC, it's still got the right visuals, so it was the only option. Yeah, and imagine that. You can play exclusive 1990s Japanese visual novels on your browser.
What a time to be alive.
So this is a visual novel, and this is a job application, where Eve vs. Era is set in modern-day Japan, where you play as two adults, one a private investigator, Kojiro, and Marina, a spy of sorts. One side you'll be tasked in finding a missing painting, and the other is to guard this rich girl. It was made by Seas Ware, written and produced by Hiroyuki Kano, with music by Rui Umemoto. Kano himself would leave the studio after this game to make Yuno, which has been called one of the most influential visual novels out there, influencing even Steins Gate, and when I see the flowchart, I can agree, because what the heck is this? So Eve vs. Era was a big deal, selling well and getting good reviews, but its gameplay is very basic. Essentially, you got 3 to 4 options in an area, where you can talk about the things you see on screen to yourself if you're alone, or talk about it to the character on the screen. Then the other option is to move to the other areas that you can't pick on a map. So say if you want to go to the hotel from your office area, you have to first go to Central Avenue before that, and then click on the hotel option, just adding more time to the journey and more buttons to click. Then you can also speak to the characters, and there's also some 4th or 5th option that's contextual, and you get multiple lines of dialogue for the options, often having to click through them numerous times to progress the plot, which is sometimes so obscure because you could be in the speak option, but to progress, you need to suddenly look at the camera they're holding in the look section to then get more dialogue in the speak section. And you'll only know this if you keep clicking on them and they keep saying the same last line over and over. So eventually when you're stuck and you're getting no new lines of dialogue, you gotta spam every option you see multiple times to see if something new pops up, and then you can continue. And sometimes it might not be in the same area, you just gotta go around to these other ones and click all the options in that area, and okay, maybe just bump into someone and that suddenly pushes the plot forward. And then you have the swapping mechanic, where after you save, you load the file, but then you pick the other character, and now you'll play their separate route. A different story, both on the same days, where you two will bump into each other, and then there'll be a lock on one route where you'll be stopped, and you'll have to load the other person to push forward, and then you can continue the first guy. So I'm not joking when I say this. Insert joke that you will think of later. But you will need a guide for this game. As yes, the characters will bump into each other during the game over the few days in December, where you gotta play through both to see what they are doing, and it's fine at the start, you can work through this, but when more areas open up and you're clicking everything but nothing new is popping up, you could have just missed something small, or you actually need to swap right then and there, and it's so hard to work out without a guide. But man, this is such a cool story for its time and actually hooked me in because, well, I found this out afterwards, this version, the English language, it wasn't localized by fans, it was an official PC port by Himeya USA, and in the old good 4Kids fashion, they changed a lot of the Japanese jokes to American ones. 90s American ones, you know.
I did not have.
But it actually felt really fun to play. It had those 90s anime dub charm in the writing, where some lines are just so absurd I would laugh out loud, to then some of the raunchiest jokes. And I mean, this isn't eroge, so it felt in line for a PC-98 game. And funnily enough, the writing style really reminded me of Ace Attorney, but you know, very adult. But yes, this was the only translation for the game that existed. I mean, you could do it yourself, as I learned from this site. Trying to edit the text onto a Seasware game is a lot more steps than just swapping out the lines with how the text is coded in. So this version the site was giving me was, at the time of this video, the only way to play this 1995 game with all the writing that entailed. But yes, with that out of the way, let's get into this game, where we shall see exactly what is bursting Eve's error. Wait, what? So this is actually cool, an Asenheim project where you can actually change a lot of the game up for the options, from the sound of the music to having the music player on the side, to even changing the font to Comic Sans. And yeah, straight away it felt like an Ace Attorney game where you got a dude in an office with no cases to solve. He doesn't have voice acting, but when you talk to people, they will have some going. And I mean, even just listening to the music, it's like, wow, it's just Ace Attorney, but there's no aces or attorney. It's just a man who's very hungry, and horny. And this is Kojiro, a private investigator who started his own business after leaving the old one because he ratted out the boss who was doing some illegal activities.
I don't get no respect from anyone.
So he goes on about how he has no cases, so no money, and he blames the recession. Well, one thing that was kind of annoying was that the songs, they don't really loop seamlessly. They stop and start again, so that part was always kind of annoying to listen to while reading. Anyway, he's so out of work, he jumps whenever the phone rings. Yeah, I'll have a Hawaiian Supreme with anchovy in the crust. Yo, that actually sounds fire! Well, this ain't Little Caesar's Pizza Parlor. Man, all this food talk is making me hungry. My stomach is suffering because of the damn recession. Oh, that sounds like a great t-shirt idea. Anyway, this girl bursts in, Kanomi, a reporter, and here's where you get to see the depth of this game, where every character will have numerous voice dialogue lines, sometimes multiple ones to the most trivial things. Like here, you can look around your room and you notice, oh, there's pizza in your fridge, and you start to talk about it, how cold pizza is better, and that it with ranch dressing and some beer. Oh, traditional Japanese cuisine at its finest. See, I told you this was just like an adult Ace Attorney game.
そんな伝統なんてあるわけないよ。
And like, she notices your window is closed, so she goes to open it, and it's all voiced. However, I will say this was not in the PC-98 version. Yeah, the voice acting was from the Windows port in 2000, which, I mean, voice acting in that year, it still makes the crunchy sound effects as if it was in 1995.
ゴミ捨て場。
Also, you can't actually skip through all the dialogue, in that you can only skip through a little section of the text till you pick another option, so speedrunning this game is a no-go. But yeah, Konomi reminds us about our law, where we turned in our boss so we actually became well known, but that doesn't mean anything if we have no cases to solve. So you start to see with this Kojiro guy.
加速度で被写体を追い続ける。
He's so dang horny! Like any comment he will say, no thought stays in his head. If he sees something he likes or doesn't like about someone, he will mention it.
ゴーさんって人がさ、
Bro, stop kidding around! Keep in mind this game was targeted towards adults, and the localization lent into that, where jokes were as raunchy as they get, but that was what the genre of what they were playing into, so I guess I can understand that. So Mr. Ko lost a valuable painting and wants to hire us to help find it. Man, this Kojiro is smart, horny, hungry, but smart.
脱税？
So she goes to tell Ko that we accept because it's a huge payout of 35k yen, and we promise to give Konomi some of it for telling us about it.
サンキュー。あ、電話は机の上のやつだよね。
No respect. I don't get no respect.
So yeah, you know how I said this game feels like Ace Attorney, but actually, Kojiro reminds me of Date from AI The Somnium Files, another similar type of game with murder and point and click, but the main character in that is so horny. However, he has a robot companion to balance that out and berate him. Kojiro though is all alone and unleashes his horniness onto the world. So we head to Ko's house, and yeah, our office is in the warehouse district as we bump into a kid, and Kojiro gets mad that he's lost, saying that he should have taken a taxi. He could have met Travis Bickle. Who the hell is that? Oh, yeah, I need to get around to watching that, huh? So yeah, these jokes will just blindside you because, I mean, this was the 2000s, and it's probably all the rage to people in the US talking about this. I guess it's like as a kid when you watch The Simpsons, they mention something and you were just thinking,
What the hell's that supposed to mean?
Where's the beef?
I get that feeling here. A very time capsule localization, but I mean, it's all we're getting for now. So we reach Ko's house where you can look around and push the shrubs. Light pole? Bro, take it easy! But the funny thing is, like with this dialogue, you can repeat these things many times to get more introspection, and then he will finally try and actually push the light pole. Well, inside Umiko, did people talk like this in 2000?
Huh?
So he wants us to find this painting, but he won't tell us why he needs it, and not to report it to the police, and to make sure that he does find it, he enlisted another detective agency, the Katsuragi office, the one that we left, you know, so there's kind of some bad blood there, to also find it, where their second in command is this Nick Avocado dude. Yeah, Kojiro makes fun of him a lot until the boss comes in, one Katsuragi, who is the daughter of the guy we ratted on, and also our ex-partner. In bed. But who cares? We're just vibing out with Ko.
いやいや。私の体の容積は常人の倍はありますからな。いやいや。
And then he goes,
あれの 魂も慰められる。目録から。
Oh, the painting is Islamic art. I see. So yeah, you gotta find this tiny painting and we think it over.
What did you say?
And we gotta find it in 3 days to be able to get the money. But what if he lost it in the house? And yep, you gotta open every single drawer. But yeah, it's not point and click. You don't click on the drawers. You just have to scroll through the options and there's no real puzzles. And also with the saving, it doesn't actually save exactly where you stop. It instead always makes a checkpoint at each area you visit. Because of how you can use the save to swap between the other characters, I think that's how it was coded in. So when you load up your save file, you might have to redo some dialogue. So usually you would just end your play sessions when you move to a new area. Well, we take the case, although something seems sus. Apart from that. And we get a phone call to head to the hotel for an informant to tell us about something else. And I love how Kojiro actually talks to the player as they know it is a video game. And Kojiro, man, he's got some anger issues.
Calm down, son.
And I love this reoccurring bit where he just keeps calling her over, but she hates his guts with these big loud footsteps. And what does Kojiro do? He really just reminds me of this guy.
You can stick it up your own.
And yeah, just a reminder, this was a game of the 2000s, so the writing was of that time with things like
O.J. Simpson, White Bronco.
Anyway, we find Konomi,
No comment.
and after licking her face, I was really shocked to see that this PC-98 game in 1995, they had actual facial expressions. Like, man, even some modern visual novels now, they can't even do that. They just stick to one image. So we are stumped and go to Katsuragi's office to see what they know since they are also on the case. But she won't tell us because she really needs the money since we kinda, you know, put her dad in jail and then he died in a prison fire. Why does that sound so fake? So we go to find out more about the painting at the local rich school and ask the librarian about it. Oh, come on, bro, focus on the damn painting! So we ask her.
イスラムですか?
And she says to come back during opening hours so she can talk about it. And yeah, with this PC gameplay, it's just with the mouse, there's no keyboard, but you have to hold shift to go back on the option since there's no back button. And I think the website added this feature where if you press this button, what the heck? It just skips the whole scene! Well, the log saved me, so apparently we met some schoolgirl who says that Ko is the director of the school. And then we meet someone else. And although this game, despite being more open, you gotta do specific things to progress, like here. To enter Ko's house, you can't just enter. You have to always ring the doorbell. It won't let you in any other way. But yeah, turns out Ko is the director of the school, but took a week off to play League of Legends. Well, then we go see Katsuragi again. Anyway, we head home and hear a noise outside and see some kids beating up that other kid we bumped into earlier. So Kojiro has to scare them off by being a man. This unsurprisingly doesn't work, so we do the next best thing.
Here's the picture.
And they run up and we save the boy. But they are scared of us.
What?
Right, very obviously is a girl, but it's those 90s anime tropes where Kojiro will not know that detail till, well... Oh no! And they faint, so we take them in. Then, wacky anime shenanigans, where we find out they are a girl with multicolored eyes, you know, DeviantArt OC eyes. But before that, we also wander around and meet this woman. Gee, I wonder what Captain Underpants here will say. Oh, of course he does. And at the bar we see some other lady throw drinks on this guy before we chat her up. Alright Kojiro, stay cool, don't do anything weird. Oh no, you know what he's gonna do. Anyway, she's very mysterious, and we get nothing. I should also stress that Kojiro has been single for 3 months ever since breaking up with Katsuragi, so it's very blue, which I guess explains his dialogue and everything. Doesn't excuse it, but I guess that's why they were leaning hard into that. So the next day we wake up. I should also mention, I just realized this now, but yeah, these animated cutscenes, they were not in the PC-98 version. It was just on the website with how they mixed in the Windows port and the old style. But okay, I'll get into that later. But yeah, this is Puddin'. Yep, that's her name. Puddin', who doesn't say much about her life but has nowhere to go, so we say fine. Just housekeep for us. Kojiro thankfully doesn't do anything drastic with her, which I was very worried about in this game, but he never does anything like that to impose himself on anyone without their permission. I'm totally not foreshadowing anything, guys, okay? So, Puddin' gets mad at Kanomi.
するんだよ。もう、なんて罰当たりな。ちょっと、痛いよ。謝ってください。はい。あの人、聖なる血を平気で横切っていったから。あの人が横切ったのは、聖なるメッカの方角なんです。
Oh, okay.
はい。
You know, it's kind of funny I picked up this game because I thought it was about serial killers. So, what have I been doing for the past 3 hours? I can't find this damn painting. No one's getting murdered and Kojima's just gonna whip it out at the side of an ankle. Well, new day. We go to the library to learn more about the painting,
どうぞこちらです。
where we discuss classical art.
歴史という時間の中ではちっぽけな存在に過ぎない自分に気づいたときに
Oh, you. So apparently the painting has a history, a curse, where people who interact with it will die. And being the only guy who nerded out on art with her, she gives us a pool ticket so we can enter the pool. This is either going to be the greatest or worst thing ever. Now, I also have to stress the more areas you open up, the harder the game becomes, as like I said, you got to do exact things to progress. And a lot of them could be, oh, you just got to talk to her 3 times on this option, then you get some new dialogue on some other option, but you'll never know unless you keep spamming all of the options that something new popped up. I kid you not. Anyone who tells you that they played this, they used the guide. There is no way that you could have the patience to mash through every single option every single time you get stuck, or click on everything in every single area walking through them all to find a sliver of story progression. Like here, I'm so stuck until I keep clicking on the pool ticket and then I can talk more to Puddin'. And so to make this process smoother, I found a guide. Oh no, not just a game facts one, an actual hint paper that was handed to you if you bought this PC game in 2000. Yep, you don't believe me? Look at how old this site is! We Himeya Soft Inc. USA want all our customers to enjoy our games as much as possible. Ah, they care about the smart games. So yeah, it doesn't outright tell you what to do, it just hints, oh, you need to talk to this person now. As you can see, you can actually do these things out of order, but you need to do all of them before the next story flag. Anyway, outside the school, we meet the girl that I skipped over accidentally, who just brushes us off, and we head home where? Everything seems fine, and we get...
Who?
Oh, the Bill Clinton affair? I guess I'm learning new things? Do all Americans even know who she is now? Then we head to Ko's house and are like, bro, you are so big, you must have lost a painting here. So we find this note in his drawers and it says... And we found it? We beat the game? Yay! Yeah, that's it. He won't tell us about the painting, why he needed it, but we get the money, and we're done. So, time to celebrate? What, did you think he was going to invest it or something? And so we see how Katsuragi is doing, and she's mad she lost the money because her company really needed it, and so we head back home to find out the money's all gone.
だって支払わないとここ立ち退き
And so to cheer her up, we buy swimsuits.
素敵
And time for the pool to celebrate. There's still no murder in this game.
そんな
And what's this? Katsuragi is also here.
見るなよ。そんなに
And her best friend, Marina.
自己紹介してくれる？小次郎。変わった名前ね。オーケー。私はマリナよ。どうしたの弥生？いや、ちょっと喉が痛くて。
Yeah, this is the other main character that you have to play as, so this is the first big point where the two will interact with each other. And on her route, you will see this interaction from the other side, where we get interrupted as a girl is getting kidnapped, but you two save the day, and it's odd as the kidnappers seemingly were hired by someone else. So Miyako is some important girl whose dad works for the embassy from Eldia, a made-up Arabic country. And that we should see him at the embassy. Keep in mind, we still have no cases to solve now, it's just wander around. But still, the embassy? Damn, I should have asked which embassy he works at. There are as many embassies in this country as there are mistresses in Clinton's closet. I get no respect, I tell ya. So we use the phone book. Man, these things were such good paperweights back in the day. Anyway, we don't go there, but we go to Katsuragi's office and see, whoa, hey there! But we get spotted.
二階堂くん、誰かいるのか？誰かいるのか？
So Nikaido was trying to take over the office and was doing it the old-fashioned way, marrying her way into power. But I still think Katsuragi has feelings for us. And I'm like, that's cute. But when are they gonna get to the murdering? Yay, finally! So, yep, in Ko's house, this random guy is murdered, throat cut with the murder weapon, a knife left behind. But as we are inspecting it, someone else enters, and we see that it's that girl, and after some misunderstanding, we call the cops, and she also says her name is Kyoko. And it's the next day where we learn that Nikaido is wanted for the murder, and that the body is Ko. So, the big guy was not Ko? Huh? Well, back to the crime scene, and we push the poll again. But that manly act doesn't let us in. So I'm kinda lost, and the guide says you need the Marina call flag, meaning you have to now play as Marina. So you save and load up the file and then click Marina to start Marina time.
Whirling, whirling.
So Marina is some spy of sorts who just got back from the US and now instantly is tasked with a bodyguard mission guarding Miyako. Marina's chief has a wife and a mistress.
Which was the style at the time.
And there's many options for us to click, and a lot of them just make Marina go wild anyway. Harut has way more fourth wall jokes, like now I'm meant to head to the apartment, but I go back to the office and whoopsie, the player entered the wrong command. And this is Mito, Miyako's father, and he's the guy from the embassy for Eldia, so we are meant to pretend to be Miyako's private teacher at her school. Well, guess we should introduce ourselves to the director. This is all happening one day ago, by the way, when we started Kojiro's story, so Ko should still be alive. But now he's missing. God, was this Bill Clinton thing that big in 2000?
口でコソコソ言ってどうなさったんですか?
And yeah, we get a look at the place, and the funny thing is, this cool cafe in the actual PC port, you know, the one without the pixel graphics, they changed these background characters here to be from Evangelion. Like all of them. Oh, okay. So we meet Miyako and she doesn't really like us, wanting to be alone and lead a normal life. So a lot of early part of this route is trying to win her over for us to protect. And then I got lost in the school where I had no idea where to go, but turns out you have to click on this one. But why is it so specific? So we meet. Who is also a teacher at the school, and then this guy who was some insurance agent. Yeah, I totally buy that. But he's Marina's type of guy.
面白い人ですね、北条さんって。あ、ごめんなさい。面白いというのは気兼ねなく付き合いやすいという意味で。
So we sneak into Miyako's room and find out that she's doing...
Never ever take medicine that isn't yours.
Oh, it's an insulin. And yeah, Marina gets a bit too into protecting Miyako, but it's fine, right? She's just protecting her like a big sister, right? She's not horny like Kojiro. Right? Oh, get out of here, Monica! So Miyako never had any friends and is having fun with Marina. And don't worry, everyone. The game states specifically that she's 21. So the girls drink with Katsuragi, who is Marina's best friend. Hey, wait. I thought you said
21.
Did the translator say that for the USA drinking laws, you know, 21, then they forgot to change this line? That, or the dad just really blanked out 3 years of his life? So in the library... See, you don't take these adult games seriously. It's just hilarious. Hey, no, wait, why are you saying that? I'm playing this in the middle of the day! Anyway, I reached the pool bit, you know, where they both meet, and yep, this is Kojiro in all his full eyeless glory.
まあね。
His voice sounds okay, I guess. Anyway, we now pass over the Kojiro's save point, and we learn that the schoolgirl Kyoko is actually an adult, another agent that was sent to investigate the school, which is probably why she was investigating that murder beforehand. Then we head back to Miyako's room, and what the heck? There seems to be the same type of knife as the murderer, as we also learn that there's an international assassin called Terra, who does work for money. Could this be them? And are they the murderer? But they let us go as a warning, and now once again I'm lost, and then someone had this exact same problem as me. So I think when two people years apart have the exact same problem, it says something about the game design. But yeah, it turns out Natasha here, you know, the big lady, is some crazy warrior. Maybe she's Terra, and she stalks you at night at the school, then giving you a count of 10 to run. But because it's a visual novel, you can't really lose if you stay. You more just get frustrated that you're stuck and you don't know what to do, so you close the game and load up Valorant again because you couldn't beat a single player game. However, who should save us? Wait, I'm playing this on a browser. Do you think 2000s people could even comprehend that you could play games like this on a browser? Well, we escape. Mayako's unharmed. Well, mostly. Don't worry, Marina doesn't do anything to her. She just lets her cry it out. But yeah, I got the flag that unlocks Kojiro's route, so now the game is a lot of loading back and forth. But yeah, it was very sus that Suzuki guy, the insurance agent, had a gun and he helped us out. So Marina sneaks into his car to find some documents, but he returns, and so she has to hide while he smokes up the car. And man, just from the text and music, this scene was so tense. I think it speaks to how powerful visual novels can be, where you don't need fancy graphics or other things. It's just as good as a novel that you read, but you've got some pictures to help out, and the game is really picking up. But yes, after following him, we end up in this hotel and enter the wrong room where Marina gets trapped inside as the couple returns and bang it out in front of her. But then we see... oh, what? Nikaido is dead? Then we see Mito slap his daughter in 4K. And since Mayako's room isn't safe and our room isn't safe as well, we stay at the hotel.
I can't even see the ocean from here.
But then we head down to flirt with the mustache man, and coming back, Mayako says she got a present delivery, which... oh no, it might be a bomb! Quick, Mayako, hide! A little over there. A little more. Little more. And man, this scene was so tense, the explosion, the dude outside, they're running for their lives till they find safety in the headquarters. People really are trying to kill Mayako, but maybe someone from Eldia? Is that why they hired Terra? And now we swap back to Kojiro, where it's been a while now, and we are days before the explosion, seeing what he did. And he actually teams up with Kyoko, since she also wants to get to the bottom of this code business. But also Katsuragi, her office closes as all the clients leave when Nikaido is found dead. So she gets drunk. Really drunk, and we take her back to her place, and it's so sweet. Like, they really do care for each other. Maybe they can get back together, and they sleep together. Nothing too graphic is shown, and it's so touching, this scene. But Kojiro heads back to let her sleep, deciding to go to Kyoko's place to work out on the case, and... oh no. Don't you be dead too? Well, that was fun. Let's go back home. But then Natasha springs on us, wanting to know where Puddin is, and we fight. Using our slick moves, we capture her, and the screen fades, and we use our secret tickling technique. What the fuck? And yep, it's morning, and Katsuragi is happy she's back with us. She gave us a key to a place. She says not to cheat on her, and then she walks in. So... okay, that was very strange, right? Like, it felt out of place. It was like a cartoon level of, oh, stop the bad guys by tickling them. But this is an adult game, right? And that's the most adult designed character in the entire game. Not that I mind, it was funny, but it felt very out of place, right? So I was wondering, was this the Western translations change that they did? Nope. In the Japanese PC port, which this and the English ones are both based off the Sega Saturn port, so from PC-98 they ported it to the Sega Saturn, then to PC, and that's with the English translation they did that one. Before the game to be put on the Sega Saturn, a console back then, it had to be heavily censored. So in that version, even on the Japanese side, they changed this scene to tickle. Well, I think that's what it means. Kochio sounds like onomatopoeia, where Japanese do that a lot. They spell out the sound, and so I searched up the word and Maybe I shouldn't continue down this rabbit hole. But it was bugging me because during my brief research before the game, because when I pick these games to make videos on, I try to look them up, but not too much to not spoil myself until after I beat it, since I want to experience this firsthand. But one thing that I did see that stuck in my mind was how apparently in the original Japanese PC-98 version, there's this, but wait, I thought I was playing the PC-98 version and it has tickling, right? He tickled Natasha, right? Huh. So then I managed to find the original images of the PC-98 game, and wait a minute, the UI looks different. Yeah, so what I was hinting at throughout this video that I didn't know at this time of the game when I played this with the Katsuragi and Natasha thing, I legit at this point was thinking this was a PC-98 game that I was playing on this browser from the Asenheim project. Like somehow they had translated the PC-98 game themselves. It never crossed my mind that this website was actually combining the two versions, the visuals of the PC-98 game, but with the dialogue and cut content in the PC version. As in you can literally swap the sprites at any time to the PC ones. I should have paid more attention to these dates. I mean, when you know nothing about the game beforehand, these just be gibberish to you. And it's actually kind of funny because that Eve thing was not a sequel. It was actually the uncensored version of the game here. So in essence, the site is running the Windows 2000s version of the game, which was heavily censored from the console Sega Saturn port, but that was the one that got the English translation, the official one. So you can play it with new art or swap it out to the PC-98 sprites in the browser and the music too to get that feeling, you know, the aesthetic. But that means I wasn't actually playing a localized PC-98 port since that doesn't exist. And that's what I realized right now after this tickle scene. Huh. So then, in the original PC-98 game in Japan in 1995, did he tickle Natasha? And I found the pictures of the original, and oh no, he's going ham, tickling her, like, oh no. So yes, Kojiro tickles Natasha. And okay, there were no dialogue boxes on the pictures that I found, so I don't know if this tickling was done with permission. I'm just basing it off what I saw on that Reddit comment. However, if there was permission, I don't think that makes it any better with Katsuragi, because even in the censored version, she just says it outright, there was no tickling. Oh man, this isn't like Ace Attorney at all. Phoenix Wright doesn't tickle people. Well, there was that one time. So yeah, the version that I played up till now, it cut all of those scenes out. Very tastefully, mind you. So in the original game, he legit tickles Natasha after making up with Katsuragi. So you understand that plot implication, right? He just made up with his ex-partner in such a touching scene, and the next day, tickles someone else. He's just that horny. No! I was having fun with Kojiro as a character. No, why did you have to do all that? Oh, and it doesn't stop at him. Marina also nakedly made out with Mayako back at that scene. You know, for all the lonely guys that are playing this game in 1995. But I can't tell you how much this hit me because yes, this game was horny. I've played ones just like this. It had a super down bad MC, but it had the most heart, even in a video game. I've cried tears in this. And Date never does anything in that game. Not even a tickle. If I was playing this with the original script and I knew that this was a PC-98 game and more scenes came up beforehand, I'm sure it wouldn't have blindsided me as hard as it did. I would have been like, oh, it's a PC-98 eroge game. They all do that, right? That's what those games did. I'm just learning about this one for the first time. But because of the PC port and how it hid everything, and this was the only way to play this game in English, you know, to make a video on it, this was all censored, which is fine. The game actually flows way better with this version. I was so into the story of him getting back with Katsuragi, and yet him actually tickling Natasha. I mean, that's kind of odd, but you're not really doing that much damage to Katsuragi, right? If you're getting back with her. And yeah, okay, Miyako and Marina were just protecting each other, right? So I guess, yes, it is my own fault for looking more into this. Like imagine you're playing Phoenix Wright and you see the friend Larry as he likes to flirt with women. But then you look up the Japanese release and you find out that he wasn't flirting. He actually tickled them against their will. Why, that changes your whole perception of the character. I was enjoying this mashed up game unknowingly, and yet I opened Pandora's box and got the true taste of what PC-98 games actually were. They are very, very horny. Well, at least in this version, I didn't have to cover up, you know, more things for YouTube, but it was still a kick to my enjoyment on this game because now in the back of my head, I'm thinking, oh, he really did tickle her. Anyway, I go back to the site to continue playing, and the site dies. Yep, so the site just died for no reason. Nothing on my end, it's just gone. And with my mood soured, it's like, wait, what do I do now? Touch grass, I don't want to do that. I gotta finish this for the video. And so the day ticks on. I'm so conflicted with how Kojiro and Marina really are. Yet I put so much work into this game. I do want to make a video on it. There's still more to talk about. Yet I cannot continue playing. Yep, site is still down. I decided to search, okay. This is a really awesome site, right? You know, there must be people who are mad about it being down. Maybe I can find more about it. And I search, with only things coming up being that German band. No one is talking about this site. It was feeling like I'm the only person in the world who was using it, and suddenly it's gone. Punishment for me opening Pandora's box and finding out more about the game than I wanted to. It felt like I was being punished. Why would you do this to me? I need to finish the game, do you hear me? And so I made the executive decision. I had to watch a Let's Play of the game to finish the story. I did not know how long this would continue. It was the third day, okay? Time is money and all that. Like, no one was talking about it. Was this a common occurrence on the site? Would it be back tomorrow? Next week? Was it dead forever? I couldn't wait any longer, and so for the spoiler section, I will briefly explain what happens in the ending. More loosely than I usually do since I didn't really play it. I mean, for these videos, I set out to beat the games entirely on my own, to experience everything myself. But when I'm relying on a website, I even had the PC-ROM of the game, you know, the 2000s one with the English translation, and it does work. I can play it. So I thought, maybe I can just quickly play through it to catch up to where I am. But no, the skip function only skips each little section. You can't just speed through and blitz through the game. So I would have to do another 15 hours again. I can't. I'm moving on. So on this day 3, I made the decision to watch a Let's Play of the whole game, and I'll summarize what I learned to at least give you some closure on the plot. And yep, at the end of the day, the site came back online after I had watched the entire spoilers. You cannot make the stuff up that happens to me, I swear. Website is back up, yippee! So to summarize where we are, Kojiro was hired to find a painting from Eldia for Ko. But this isn't Ko. The real Ko got murdered by someone from Eldia, maybe the assassin called Terra. He and Kyoko now investigate while Puddin, the Eldian girl, goes missing. Marina is tasked with protecting the other Eldian girl, Mayako, whose dad Mido is in the embassy. And she also loves this guy, Suzuki. While Kojiro loves Katsuragi and tickles Natasha. And now there are 2 murders, and we learn that Mido is wanting to reform Eldia to modernize it. But he fears some people are out there to get him because of it. Hence all the attacks on his daughter. But he's kind of suspicious, as he knew beforehand that Nikaido was a detective, so he's not really telling us the whole truth. And both MCs are trying to get through this on their own routes, where now they both have to help each other out, hack into a database. And this is one of the worst sections in the entire game, because you gotta swap between both sides to get clues to keep hacking with no hints on when to swap. As in, you gotta do something on one end, then swap over and continue on the other side, constantly switching. Feels very Zero Escape coded. Like, just look at this. You gotta keep hitting checkpoints for the game to then swap out, but you have no idea of what checkpoints they are. Well, we learned that there was some big science thing in Eldia where Ko's dad was part of it before he got killed. Natasha works for the intelligence, and Mina was the former head of the Eldian intelligence. And now there's like the thing called the Neurocerebral Project, with something called the A101, some science experiment. Punin's job was actually to get something from Ko. She was playing up that ditzy girl routine, but he's dead, so she didn't know what to do. And we learned that you also need 2 pieces of that painting, and if you have both, you can lay claim to the Eldian throne, as the king had been killed before, and 2 sides of people were fighting over who got to take over. We also have some amusing time breaking into the embassy and Kyoko falling out the window.
Okay.
Now, Puddin tells us that she's serving the person next in line to the throne, and she was meant to get the painting from the real Ko to give it to them. Marina then sees that the reporter girl gets kidnapped, and her and Suzuki, who clearly is not an insurance agent, go in to see that Kojiro is kidnapped by the big Ko, whose real name is Pat. And he's part of Eldia, and he also wants the painting. However, the knife person, who still don't know if it's Terra, kills Pat, while Marina and Suzuki tickle each other with permission, and Suzuki reveals he's Katsuragi's dad, who didn't die in jail. Yep, This is the guy we turned in. And now we learn that there are 2 nominees to take over the position of queen. Puddin, who was lying before again, she's actually a nominee with a real name Patricia. Puddin was her fake persona, and Miyako is the other nominee. The reason Mito wanted her guarded but then attacked was to try and get sympathy from the Eldian people, to hopefully win Miyako the throne. Nikaido was hired by Mito to double-cross Pat, but he got killed. And we see Amanda, you know, the girl we failed to flirt up. She's actually the Prime Minister of Eldia. Yeah. She also dies to Terra, leaving a clue. Hey, wait a minute. This seems similar to another visual novel. So we think Mito is Terra, but turns out it's Suzuki. Then Mito dies. Then Suzuki dies. Then the 2 protagonists are stuck on a ship with the 2 princesses. But then Miyako's hair and eye change color, and she sacrifices herself to save everyone.
What?
So, yep, now on the final screen, you have to piece together the whole puzzle. Who killed who? And Miyako summarizes it, and yep, she killed nearly everyone, as Miyako is a clone of Patricia, and she has the spirit of the dead king of Eldia inside her. Yep, before he died, he just shoved his soul into a clone body, that A101 robot, and the king wanted to get rid of Patricia to get the throne again. That's why she took the medication to suppress her killer urges, but without it, she was killing everyone. But Miyako dies and Patricia gets the throne, with the game ending and no closure for the main 2 characters. Yep. Okay, so like in the intro cutscene, I kept seeing all these weird sci-fi elements, but I never got any indication that this was the genre they were going into. I guess this was some crazy final twist. I know I skimmed over this heavily, but it's really long, and I think my heart was just not into it with all the aforementioned troubles that I ran into. I kind of feel like the first half focused on the 2 protagonists a lot, but then it shifts over to the 2 princesses more, and the politics, which wasn't as enjoyable. Oh yeah, if you're wondering, Kojiro and Katsuragi, I think, get back together. Because, I mean, with that outfit, he had to tickle her once more. So that's Eve Burst Era, a game with a really good art style and music. Man, so many of the tracks are just catchy as Ace Attorney songs. Like, listen to this and tell me it doesn't fit in that game. And yeah, I think it's legit just like an adult Ace Attorney game, which is crazy because it released years before. And I do really think, from what I can tell, the translation only changed some Japanese jokes to English ones. You know, the Clinton one. Because when you hear the Japanese audio say words in English, it matches the text that they wrote a fair bit. So I don't think they changed too much of the story and things like that. So just from the style of writing, if it's similar in Japanese, like with Ace Attorney in Japanese, I could easily see that this game, with how much it sold, being so influential to many other visual novels. While its story kind of loses focus at the end, I really do think a political sci-fi ending did not suit the first half vibes I was getting, and how excruciating it is to play without a guide. And even then, you can still get stuck. It is a really good game, at least something unique all those years ago. And as such, this game was big. Like, it sold 300,000 in Japan big. And you know what that means? They milked the hecking heck out of it. Unrelated picture. So Eve Burst Era was released in 1995 on the PC-98, but with its success, it got a censored Sega Saturn port, then a PC port based on that in English too, a PC port in 2003 which is a remake called Eve that was uncensored and has the original PC-98 version in the files. Eve Lost One, a sequel, was in 1998, and then 1998 another sequel, Adam the Double Factor, then a prequel in 2000, Eve Zero, then they remade Adam with new content and Fatal Attraction in 2001 which changed the story, another remake in 2006 which is called New Generation, a Mahjong card game in 2008, Eve Burst Era, another remake in 2010, then a remaster of the PC-98 game with R and A, an adult version on the PC that has the adult stuff put in. Then 2 more sequels, Rebirth Terror and 2019 and 2022 Ghost Enemies.
Where is all this litter coming from?
I cannot recreate how far my jaw dropped when I learned this. These were different kinds of sequels and they would just remake the original game over and over. If you thought FF7 was bad, oh man, you have seen nothing yet! And to be fair, I did try some of them out, but the others, okay, some of these sites are so sketchy, I swear. Like, even on archive.org for the PC-98 games, you can get malware? Why is it called that? So the sequel in 1998 with 3D Teddy Bear, where on the PS1 they dished the sprites and have these animated cutscenes that move the lip flaps to match the dialogue, kind of like how Steins Gate Elite did it. And needless to say, I did not like Steins Gate Elite. But yeah, all of these games I'm going to talk about were not localized, so I can't comment on the story, but it still has those pick the options with multiple lines of text, although now you have a map to see the areas you can move to. So in 1988, the same year, you had a different sequel. Yet, in the same year, they made 2 sequels that are completely different, using the same characters, but not related to Eve the Lost One. So you can already tell they lost the plot here. This one is on PC and has a fan translation, and yep.
Hardcore nudity!
And all your faves are there, Kojiro and blaming the hunger on recession.
Whoa, 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 hey, 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 hey!
But now you got a cursor to click, and you can actually click on multiple things on the room with them being highlighted. But oh my god, it was so frustrating knowing where to click. Like, I don't know what you want me to do. Where do you want me to click to make her talk, but she's not talking! But now it continues the story where Kyoko is the self-invited wife. Bro, what happened to Katsuragi? Oh man, what happened to Little Seizures? Then in 2000 you have a prequel on the PS1, which is in the same style as Eve Lost One, but it has a more cleaner anime art style. And look, Katsuragi is there! Now in 2001, they decided to remake Adam. Yes, that second sequel game. Yes, 3 years later they are remaking that. Yes, you hear correct. Where on the PS1, it continues from the end of the original game, where now you and Kyoko are together. It's got really chill music. And now you got to use your control stick to move the cursor since it is a console game. Then also a little side one, you got Eve Burst Era Plus, which is an updated version of the original with new scenarios and anime movies on the PS2. Before in the same year, they ported that game to the PC, calling it Eve, and just added back the original adult content. Then you have New Generation on the PS2 in 2006, another sequel to the original. Yep, and you would not believe it, it was written by Kotaro Uchikoshi, you know, the Zero Escape and AI the Somnium Files guy. The game that I said the main protagonist felt like he was inspired by Kojiro, meaning Uchikoshi had to have played the original if he's writing a sequel. So I was right! But so annoyingly is that this one is not translated, but yeah, it does have some interesting art direction where you see the items on screen and whoa, that's his hand. And to talk to things, you have to hold the D-pad before pressing circle. Holy moly, is that Steins Gate? Oh no, he wrote for that too! Stop infecting my videos, Uchi! So now in 2010, you have this game on the PSP, and this is probably the most egregious one. It's another remake of the original, using a horrendous art style, changing up so many things, replacing every single voice actor. A thing that has been consistent in all these sequels and remakes and prequels is that they use the same voices, but this one completely changed them. But it's still a visual novel, and it's pretty cool. I guess with the modern tech now, you can swap between the two characters at any time. However, they changed so much of the story. Like, you remember the adult Kyoko who was pretending to be a schoolgirl to infiltrate the school? This is her now. What is even happening? Why? So now this is a remaster of the Sega Saturn version in 2016 with the same story, just fully updated visuals. And R is the censored one, with A being the adult version, having all that tickling. I guess it is cool they have both versions for you to pick from, but I guess part of the charm of Eve, to me, is that original art style, so you kind of lose a lot of the vibes here. Then in 2019, you have this on the PS4 and Vita, which is yet another different sequel to the original game. You know, the one that was released over 24 years at this point. But the art style doesn't feel that different, and the reviews on the database are actually way higher than all the other sequel attempts. And I think fans agree that this was a good one because 3 years later, we have a sequel to Rebirth Terror called Ghost Enemies, which has a high rating as well. So maybe at some point these might get translated, but it's very unlikely with how this franchise is seen in the West. But then you also have some other things with Eve Burst Era, being that this game is in the same universe as Eve. Yep, it's a game that features Kyoko.
No, stop! What are you doing?
Then you got Desire, which I heard Eve Burst Era actually was meant to be a sequel to that game. And man, it's just so much. I do though want to shout out this video and for the graphic, which I assume they made, for teaching me so much on the sequels and being like the only video on these games. I don't know if you're watching this, but I couldn't find your video when I searched for Eve initially. I actually found it on Google search accidentally, so I don't know why searching for this game on YouTube, like, oh man, the search on YouTube just keeps scrolling and why is that there? But yeah, when you search anything up for Eve on YouTube, it's just all soundtracks. I mean, they are good, but still. I think the saddest thing about all this is that the writer for the original game left after that one and jumped around studios before unfortunately passing away in 2011 due to brain hemorrhaging. But even before that, they were not involved with any of these games. And it just feels like whoever owns the rights were just passing it around to keep remaking or making sequels on new consoles. Every time Japan got a new console, someone has to remake Eve for it. But a lot of them don't feel to be in the spirit of Eve, the sleazy PC-98 mystery game with two protagonists. It's like, I can't imagine that many of them are actually better than the original with how the writer changes up the story, how the designs change and over, continuing the plot further. But there's one as recent as 2 years ago, so I guess people are still buying Eve. Which is then baffling. We haven't got any localization since 2000 of any of these games, with only one fan translation of one of them. There's nothing out there in English. And then I can't imagine if you're a fan of the original PC-98 game, you will be pogging out at all these sequels when they look like this. What a journey! I started this video out to learn more about the PC-98 console, you know, this mythical thing with such a unique aesthetic, to find a perfect game that I would fall in love with. But what turned out was an adult 4Kids dubbed version playable on a browser in a series that has more remakes and alternate sequels than me with second round interview callbacks. I do like Eve Burst Era, I enjoyed my time with it. While it's not one of my top 10 favorite games ever, I still had so much fun with what I played, given all the surrounding circumstance. However, the ending wasn't the best in my opinion, and now seeing what the franchise has turned into is kinda off-putting. But I'm happy I got to at least experience the console, and I do hope to dive further into other games, even that is really tempting with how everyone has been hyping it up. But yes, for Eve, it's kind of annoying in that you can't technically experience the PC-98 game originally with all the visuals and all that, even on an emulator, unless you understand Japanese. And that the only translation that exists is a 4Kids equivalent, which I still do love. I honestly haven't laughed at dialogue in a video game since, well, the video before this one. Man, the games I've been tackling have been so funny. That's it, I'm changing it up, we're going to a serious game next. But yeah, as a PC-98 game, with what I know now, with how the characters are, with how there's no voice acting in the PC-98 version, it's an okay game, because at least the funny translations help diffuse the situation of Kojiro and Marina being so down bad for anyone they meet. But I do understand that was the point of these eroge types of games, and Eve Burst Era has easily inspired countless of future games. I know with the language barrier it can be hard to ascertain how much was in the original and what was changed by Himea USA, but if it's similar in Japanese, I can really see that the Ace Attorney devs and Uchikoshi being influenced by it. I mean, he wrote a damn sequel, he better been aware of the original. Like, it makes so much sense to me, Kojiro being the inspiration for Date in my mind. And with that, I gotta hand it to the creators of Eve. You have made some of the most influential games in the genre, and I have never seen a franchise become as milked as this. So that's some legacy you have to Eve Burst Era. Also, wait, her name is Mayako? Oh, I've been pronouncing it Mayako this entire time. Oh, why did nobody tell me? I was trying to pronounce the kana separately, but why is Japanese so hard? And yes, I'm happy that this was my first PC-98 game. I was not expecting the rabbit hole it entailed. But as a video game, it was insane to learn that you can play these level of games in your browser. Then finding out it has so many sequels, a dual protagonist story. It's so incredibly horny yet gripping at times, and such a great art style. Yeah. Hey, wait a minute! Who the heck is even Eve Burst Era? There's no character named Eve. What's the error? Who's bursting? Oh, wait, no, Kojiro, easy there! And that's it from me. Thank you for sticking around. If you enjoyed this video, I would appreciate a like. And on that note, I just want to say, I really am so thankful to everyone who has subscribed and watched my videos. I really can't thank you all enough, and if this interests you, I am a channel that isn't associated with a genre. I'm not a JRPG guy, or a visual novel guy. I'm just a guy. It makes you laugh while you follow me down these review rabbit holes and whatever I find interesting. So if that sounds cool to you, I would really appreciate a sub to the channel. You can also follow me on Twitter for updates. And until then, I shall see you all in the next video.